I never thought love could drive someone to madness. Until I found myself locked in a nightmare I couldn't escape. My name is Jake Turner. By the time I turned 35, I had everything I thought a man could want: the penthouse, the cars, the booming tech company with my name on the door. I was the guy who made it out of nothing, the so-called self-made millionaire the magazines loved to write about. I lived fast, I worked harder, and I believed I was untouchable. And then I met her. Chloe Bennett. It was supposed to be just another Thursday night, a charity art gala thrown by one of my investors. I didn't even want to go. I hated those events, hated the fake smiles, the staged conversations. But then, across the room, I saw her. She wasn't like the others. No designer gown, no forced laugh. She wore a simple black dress, paint still stubbornly clinging to her fingernails, like she had rushed straight from her studio without even thinking about it. Chloe wasn't just beautiful, she was real. We bumped into each other, literally, by the wine table. She apologized, flustered, cheeks flushed pink. I laughed it off, asked her about her work, expecting the usual polite small talk. Instead, she lit up like a sunrise, her words tumbling out about colors, emotions, stories told through brushstrokes. She spoke like the world was still worth believing in. For the first time in a long time, I listened. Our connection was instant, magnetic. Within weeks, we were inseparable. I took her to dinners under city lights, weekend trips to hidden beaches. She made me believe that maybe, just maybe, life was about more than the next business deal. She painted my world in colors I hadn't even realized I'd forgotten. I thought I had found it forever. Looking back now, I wonder when the first cracks appeared. Was it the way she gripped my hand just a little too tightly when I spoke to other women? The way her smile faltered every time I left for a business trip? Or was it something darker, something broken long before I ever stepped into her life? Maybe I should have seen it then, the desperate glint in her eyes, the way she clung to me like I was her last breath of air. But I didn't. I was too wrapped up in the fantasy we built together. She was beautiful, talented, and for a time, she made me believe in forever. I never thought ending things would cost me my life. In the beginning, being with Chloe felt effortless, like breathing. She was everything I didn't know I was missing. Sweet, supportive, endlessly curious about my world. She celebrated my wins, stood by me during the long, grueling nights when meetings bled into mornings. She told me I inspired her, that my ambition fueled her art. She painted portraits of me, laughing, thoughtful, lost in the storm of my own mind. It was intoxicating to be seen like that. To be understood. I wanted to give her the world. And so I did. I bought her a small studio uptown where she could paint without worrying about rent. I introduced her to circles of people who could appreciate her work: investors, gallery owners, magazine editors. She marveled at the life we built together, and I felt like maybe, for once, I wasn't running this race alone. But love has a way of blinding you. The first red flag was almost too small to notice. At a company dinner, I congratulated a colleague, Jessica, on her promotion. It was a harmless, 2-minute conversation, a handshake, a smile. But later that night, Chloe was silent, curled up stiffly on the far side of the bed. When I asked what was wrong, she just whispered, "I don't like the way she looked at you." I laughed it off. Called it jealousy, a sign she cared. I kissed her forehead and promised she had nothing to worry about. But the incidents kept stacking up like small, carefully hidden scars. If I stayed late at the office, I'd come home to dozens of missed calls. If I so much as mentioned a woman's name, Chloe's eyes would darken, her fingers gripping whatever she was holding just a little too tightly. And then came the decision that should have set off every alarm bell. One morning over coffee, she smiled sweetly and said she had quit her job at the art supply store. "No more distractions," she said brightly. "I want to be here. With you. Always." It was framed like devotion, a love so pure it demanded complete surrender. At the time, I convinced myself it was romantic. Special. But deep down, a whisper stirred inside me. Maybe love isn't enough to fill a void so deep. I should have listened to that voice. I should have seen the cracks in the foundation before the whole thing came crashing down. But when you're wrapped in the warmth of someone else's worship, it's easy to mistake the flames licking at your heels for a harmless glow. And by the time I realized the difference, it was already too late. I don't know exactly when the air between us started to feel heavy, when every word felt like it was walking a tightrope, one wrong step away from disaster. All I knew was that I couldn't breathe anymore. What had once been love now felt like a cage. Chloe's eyes followed me everywhere, in the house, at parties, even in my dreams. Her love had morphed into something twisted, something suffocating. I knew I had to end it. I rehearsed the conversation 1,000 times in my head, calm, kind, respectful. I owed her that much. She had given me her heart, her time, her whole world. When the night finally came, I sat her down in the living room, her favorite candles burning between us. I told her I needed space. That we had grown too fast, too intense. That I cared about her, I always would, but we couldn't go on like this. At first, she just stared at me, silent. I thought, maybe she understood. Then her face crumbled. No, she whispered, shaking her head. No. You can't. I reached for her hand, a mistake. She yanked it away like I had burned her. And then she was screaming, tears streaming down her face. She shouted words I couldn't even fully process, threats, accusations, desperate pleas. You used me. You owe me. I'll ruin you, Jake Turner. I'll make sure everyone sees who you really are. I sat there, stunned, helpless. This wasn't the Chloe I had fallen for, this was someone else entirely. When she finally stormed out, slamming the door so hard the frames on the walls shook, I sat there for a long time, just listening to the ringing silence she left behind. I thought that was the end. That the worst was over. I couldn't have been more wrong. The messages started that night. At first, texts, hundreds of them, pouring in one after another. Please come back. I can't live without you. You belong to me. When I didn't respond, the calls began. When I blocked her number, the emails flooded in. And then, she started showing up. At events, lurking just at the edges of the crowd. On the sidewalk outside my building. Sitting in the back of coffee shops I frequented. Always watching. Always waiting. The worst came one night when I returned home after a late meeting. I opened the door to my apartment. And froze. Photos of us, hundreds of them, covered every surface. But they weren't intact. Every single one had been shredded, slashed, torn straight through the heart. And scrawled across the largest photo in thick, black marker were 3 chilling words: you are mine. I realized then, breaking her heart hadn't ended anything. It had only just begun. After that night, everything changed. I moved out of my penthouse the very next morning, hiring private movers to pack whatever I couldn't carry myself. I changed my phone number, wiped my social media, and doubled the security around my office and home. Cameras, alarms, bodyguards, things I once thought only celebrities or paranoid billionaires worried about became my new reality. Friends told me I needed to go further. Get a restraining order, my lawyer urged. Cut her off completely, but every time I thought about pressing charges, about dragging her name into court, I hesitated. This was Chloe. The woman who once danced barefoot in my kitchen, who painted my laughter like it was sacred. Some part of me, the foolish, bleeding heart part, felt guilty. Felt like maybe she had just loved too much, too hard. That maybe this was my fault for promising forever when I wasn't ready to give it. Weeks passed. No calls. No texts. No shadowy figures outside my window. I started to believe it was over. That maybe, somehow, Chloe had found a way to let go and move on. I lowered my guard. Smiled again. Slept through the night without jolting awake at every creak in the floorboards. And then, on a gray, drizzling Tuesday, a package arrived at my new office. No return address. No name. Just a simple brown wrapped bundle left on my desk while I was in a meeting. At first, I thought nothing of it. Maybe a gift from a client, a thank you from a partner. But when I peeled back the paper, my stomach turned to ice. It was a painting. My face stared back at me, but it wasn't like the tender portraits Chloe once painted. This version was distorted, twisted, almost unrecognizable. My eyes were hollow, my mouth a silent scream. In the canvas. The canvas was splattered with something dark, something metallic smelling and horrifyingly familiar. Blood. At the bottom, scrawled in red, were 2 chilling words: forever mine. I dropped the painting, backing away like it might come alive and wrap its hands around my throat. It hit me all at once. The nightmare wasn't over. It was just biding its time. And whatever Chloe was planning now, it was going to be worse than anything I could imagine. For weeks after the painting, I lived with my back against the wall. I tightened security, vetted every visitor, lived like a man hunted, because, in truth, I was. But eventually, fear dulls into routine. You tell yourself, it's over. You're safe. You start to believe the lies you need to sleep at night. So when my company's 10th anniversary gala came around, I told myself it would be fine. It was a private party. Strict guest list. Hired staff vetted by my head of security. Cameras everywhere. What could go wrong? The night glittered with champagne and laughter, chandeliers casting golden light across the estate. For the first time in months, I let myself breathe. Smile. Almost believe I had one. I should have known better. It happened so fast. I stepped away from the crowd to grab some papers from my study, contracts, a speech draft, something boring and business-like. That's when I saw her. At first, my mind refused to process it. Chloe, wearing a server's uniform, her hair tucked under a cap, her body stiff with purpose. Before I could shout, move, anything, she shut the study door behind her. Locked it. You shouldn't have let your guard down, Jake, she said, voice almost gentle. I backed away, hands up. Chloe, you don't have to do this. Please, let's talk. She laughed, sharp, broken. Talk? That's rich coming from you. And then her voice dropped, dark and cold. You think you're the victim? Poor Jake Turner? You built your empire on broken promises, destroyed lives. You made people believe in dreams you never intended to keep, just like you made me believe. My heart slammed against my ribs. What are you talking about? She pulled a folder from her jacket, photos, emails, documents. Deals I had cut early in my career, stepping over partners, exploiting loopholes, ruining smaller competitors. Things I'd buried deep, convinced myself were just the price of ambition. You shattered so many hearts, Jake, Chloe whispered, eyes gleaming with tears. Now yours will be the last. She pulled out a small knife, almost delicate looking, like something from a kitchen drawer. I tried to grab her, to wrestle it away, but rage gave her strength. There was a struggle, desperate, clumsy. Furniture crashed around us. And then I felt it. The cold bite of the blade sliding between my ribs. I staggered back, blinking, the room tilting. Warmth blossomed across my shirt. Chloe caught me before I hit the floor, cradling my head gently in her lap like a lover. Tears streaked her cheeks as she pulled out her phone and calmly dialed 911. Her voice was steady, almost peaceful as she spoke into the receiver. He's free now. Darkness swarmed the edges of my vision, and somewhere deep inside, I understood. This wasn't just revenge. This was Chloe's love story ending exactly how she wanted it. They say your life flashes before your eyes in your final moments. But for me, it wasn't memories of success, wealth, or fame that came rushing back. It was faces. Every single face I had ever hurt. Every heart I had cracked in the pursuit of something shinier, something better. And at the center of it all, Chloe. The woman I once saw as fragile. The woman I thought I could love lightly, and leave easily. I realize now that love, real love, isn't something you can pick up and put down when it's convenient. It isn't a painting you can hang on your wall, admire for a season, and then toss aside when the colors fade. Love, when deep and raw and desperate, doesn't just disappear. It festers. It rots. It grows teeth. I thought I understood power. I thought I could control everything, people's perceptions, their trust, their dreams. But I never understood the quiet, brutal power of a broken heart. How it can hollow someone out, reshape them, forge something terrible and unrecognizable from the ruins. If only I had seen love's desperation, not just its beauty. If only I had cared enough to ask what happened to the people I left behind. Chloe wasn't born a monster. I helped make her one. In every unanswered message, every promise I broke when I got bored, every time I confused her devotion with weakness, brick by brick, I built the cage she eventually put me in. And here's the part no one tells you. When you break someone's heart badly enough, you don't always get to walk away. Sometimes they come back, carrying all the pieces you left behind, and sometimes they make sure you never break anyone else again. As the darkness finally swallowed me whole, there was no anger in me. No hatred. Only a hollow, aching regret. If you're listening to this, if my story somehow finds you across time and space, I'll ask you just one thing. Tell me, have you ever broken a heart you couldn't fix? Because if you have, pray they never find you.